There have been a lot of times where I have worked on different scripts, different projects, different things where I'm looking at files, I'm looking at code, and I see a bunch of lines, hundreds of lines, maybe thousands and thousands of lines. And trying to figure it out all in my head is very hard. It's a very tedious process, and a lot of times you have to kind of think about tactics to kind of simplify things to make it so that you can parse and understand the code that you are seeing, right? Or the code that you wrote maybe some months ago or some years ago. And one of the things that annoyed me is that it was very difficult to kind of get myself back into place as to where I wanted to be. Like, yes, sure, in VS Code, there are specific ways that you can do that. For example, there is the outline feature in VS Code where you can be able to get from like one variable or function or class pretty quickly. You can just like click on this variable here, or I can click on a function, or I can get to a class. Anything I kind of want, I can kind of get to from an outline, which is very helpful. And there's also using Ctrl+G on Windows, or probably Command+G on Mac, I'm not necessarily sure. And that will allow you to select a specific line number where you can then jump to that number. So if I wanted to get back to line 39 and I was somewhere else, I would just type in Ctrl+G and then put in the number, which is 39, and then type in enter, and therefore I would get back to where I was before, and that's very helpful. However, let's say I forget the number. Let's say I'm just not paying attention. Let's say I was doing some sort of work, something got my attention somewhere else, or I got a phone call or an email or something, and now I do not remember exactly where I was in particular. For me, I haven't seen a way to be able to jump back to a specific line that helps. And so I wanted to be able to make something that helped me to get back to where I was before. And I knew VS Code was the best IDE to kind of work with making some sort of extension or feature that would work for me. And so I started looking for things that would be able to help me to get to specific points that I thought would help me to get back to whatever lines I wanted to. And the first thing I thought of was breakpoints. Breakpoints are these little red dots that you see here in what they call the gutter of VS Code. I'm not sure why they call it gutter, but when I was looking up and doing research, they call it the gutter here. And this shows up on JavaScript and in TypeScript files in particular. And I believe it shows up because of the fact that you can run and debug with JavaScript and TypeScript. It's kind of the same as if you were testing on a Google Chrome browser or on a Firefox or any other browser. Essentially, you would be in your DevTools and you can be able to go to your source files and be able to select a specific line. When you actually load the page, then the breakpoint would stop the actual page from loading at that specific line. So therefore you could do debugging and do whatever else you need, right? And that's what it's normally used for. But I thought that it was pretty useful because of the indicator of the dot. And I thought that if I was dealing with a file that had thousands and thousands of lines, it'd be cool to be able to snap back right to that line, right? Like, even though it's for breakpoints, I like it for being able to jump to that line. And I tried looking up like VS Code extensions already, and I wasn't able to see any. Like, you can see things here that may seem like it, right? Like jump to line, that seems like it. Line Jumper is a VS Code plugin that adds commands to move your cursor and select multiple lines at a time, which is actually pretty cool, but not what I need, you know? Like jump to column, not what I need. Jump lines, not what I need, right? So like, there's like some sort of need for what I was at least talking about, or something that I couldn't see it, right? So I decided I should probably make my own VS Code extension. I had to set this up on Microsoft DevOps. I don't even remember doing this, but I had to essentially go to this website right here, this AXDev Azure, and like basically set up one, but I already had like an account. Like, they want me to create a project, but I never do. That's the thing. I go to devazure.com with whatever like Azure portal account that you have. Then once you have that, instead of creating an account, all I do is I go into like user settings and I believe it was personal access tokens. And then from there, I was able to create a personal access token. Like, hit new. You can already see the one for the one I have right now, but like I was able to hit this, do like scopes and things like that. What you do is you run npm install g yo generator code. Once you do that, it's going to run you through a couple different things that you want to do to build out or scaffold out the project that you can make for a VS Code extension. I use like TypeScript. It's easier, it's cooler, I like it. TypeScript, cool. And then I chose like VS Code extension and just made it the most easy and basic thing from there. And then compile and watch after like kind of messing around with it for a bit. So use npm install g VS Code VSCE. So you have to remember to create a publisher. It shows up in the package.json file here. In the publisher section, I chose masterjx9 because that is my handle for most things. I also added in the URL of the repo for this. It actually, I think, uses that repo, oddly enough. Don't quote me on that, but I think it uses the repo to kind of scaffold out its own web page. When I updated my repo, it seems that page also updated, which is kind of cool. I was able to add in an icon to be able to then have that on the same thing for the store and then show up on here, although it looks really bad, so I may have to change that icon. You just scaffold out your package JSON according to what you think is necessary. You can look it up. I think they have a little file here where you can see the manifest as far as fields, as far as the key values and data types and stuff like that. So you can use that in this example to go from there to kind of build out and think about what type of extension you're trying to build out. But for me, I was able to use this, and this was really important because this is where you're able to add in your key bindings. I wanted to make an extension where I was able to jump from one line to another, right? So again, if it was like a breakpoint, but I'm going to view it like a jump point instead, I want to be able to make it so I can highlight it and then from there be able to move there later in the road, and then if I had others, be able to just simply move left and right between every single breakpoint I had. For me, I figured we will make 3 key bindings that will really help. We will make a ctrl+m key binding, which will mark or unmark a line so that we can jump right back to it. We will have a ctrl+alt+left and right to kind of shift left or right between this like index or array, so to speak. Now, when you first build out your actual scaffolded project, it'll come out with this extensions TS file. This is what I modified and tried to work on for a couple hours to kind of figure out what I wanted and what I wanted to understand. Most of this is already stuff that I already saw, like for example the import star as VS Code from VS Code, that was already there. But then I was starting to look into things like creating a type that basically references these 2 objects inside of it as far as key pair values. As far as the URI key pair value, it is a VS Code URI identifier, right? It could be a file, whatever, X, Y, and Z, right? And then we have the position that VS Code finds where your cursor is on the actual file that you're dealing with. The decorator type is basically an image here that I made. Let's see, it is this, which should, yeah, here it is. It's a small little dot, right? And that is the dot that essentially we can make here if I wanted to by doing ctrl+alt+m, as you can see, and it says jump point line at line 13 here. And I can undo that too by doing jump point removed at line 13. So from this section here, the mark point function here, or arrow function that's basically happening here, is the ctrl+m function, right? So when I hit ctrl+alt+m, that is what this whole function is doing essentially right here. The jump next and the jump previous is basically the ctrl+alt+left and rights. We do have another thing that we had to add into this that was called refresh decorations. It was based off of an issue that was going on where if I, let's say, had some markers in here, you know, and I went here, and then I, let's say, went into my console history. I wonder if it'll work here, right? Ooh, cool, right? So I go here and then go here, right? And then like move around here. Like if I go back here, before, if I didn't have this refresh decorations function, it wouldn't work as far as the images. The images would go away. So after I published it, it actually shows up in the marketplace. Again, my logo looks terrible because of the theming I have, and I shouldn't have had the same color as the theming, so obviously that's trash. But you can see that the whole page comes up and it's all based off of the GitHub repo, which is kind of funny. So that was about it for this video. If you liked this video, please leave a thumbs up. If you have any comments, concerns, questions, please leave them in the comments below, as I love to interact with you guys. And other than that, I hope that the rest of your day goes well. Peace, you guys.